So you've studied history of China for a semester now. What's the most important thing you've taken away from it?
Well, after doing the scroll, especially, like, seeing the five waves together and comparing the fall of Han China and the Roman Empire, the most interesting thing that I sort of took from this class, and just China in general, is why didn't the Chinese Empire ever fall and never come back? Like, the Roman Empire did. You need to stop it right now. Like, the Roman Empire did.
Turning
like,
this in.
Whatever. Like, the Ottoman Empire did, like, the Safavid Empire, like, all of these empires rose and fall. Like, they ran their marathon, and then they burnt out and they didn't come back. But China kept coming back, and they came back for 5 waves, for an average of, like, 3 different dynasties within these waves. That's 15 different dynasties over 3,000 years. That's ridiculous. Why did they keep coming back? And I feel like this question is a question that historians have sort of pondered, and there's no one answer, and that bothers me. But because there's no one answer that I can see, I can honestly say I have no idea why China didn't just fail and never come back. But I have a couple of ideas as to what contributed to this. One of them is China's geographic isolation, because it's sort of like in the middle of mountains and like the Himalayas and like the desert, the Taklamakan Desert, and like there's all these rivers, and then there's the Pacific Ocean, and they're just sort of like forced to be this one area, and they've tried to be divided while being within that area. Like, the period of disunity was divided into 3 kingdoms, and it didn't work. They came back together. They came back to be the Sui dynasty, which became the Tang, which became the Song, blah blah blah. And it's sort of like, I think being isolated in this way sort of forces you to being able to rise up and become the Sui dynasty. But in Rome, there was no religion. Christianity came in, but even though it came in really late, and there wasn't enough time for it to be glue. So that's just sort of proof how Confucianism works and Christianity doesn't, and it's why China was better off having it in their country. Another reason I don't sort of get why China won't just die out, not that I'm hoping it will, is that right now, I believe that they could honestly do anything, like, because they have been feudalistic, they have been through the mandate of heaven and sort of carried that concept around. They have had emperors, they have been communists, they have had foreign people like the Mongols coming in during the Yuan dynasty, and they've experienced all of these different types of governments that I feel like, because they've experienced it together, they can always experience together what they have experienced in the past. Which is why people are always like, what's going to happen to China next? It's becoming a superpower, it's rising, the West has issues with it, like all the movies we watched in class and like the documentaries, interviews, whatever. I think no matter what the West does, no matter what the US in particular does to China, if it tries to break China, if it tries to occupy it, if it tries to get rid of like all like areas where communism is seen, China will always come back. Like, even if China breaks, it'll always come back because it knows how to be these dozens of different governments, and it can do it again, and it will do it again to unite themselves, and it's never going to fall like the Ottoman Empire did.
So expand on that. Specifically, like, how do you think China would turn out if they really did lose all those connections with the world?
And they became more isolated?
Yeah.
Well, my friend, I think that if the other countries weren't trying to come in and bugging China as much as they have in the past, what's up? I'm obviously gangster, which is why I keep doing this. Then I think they'd be fine. Like, there would be certain things, resources that they wouldn't have from the outside, like, obviously. But I think they would have the chance to be themselves without Western or like European interaction, which they've been going through for hundreds of years now. Like, the century of humiliation, it was non-stop sort of harassment. Like, I don't mean to use it, it was harassment. And if they finally got the opportunity to be themselves without outside influences, I think they would strive more than they have ever before.
So you think it would make them stronger?
Yeah.